We are finally here. Football season is here. 9 months of speculation, learning about Fran Brown, his assistants, his new players, Kyle McCord, Fidel Diggs, bringing back the likes of Marlowe, Wax, Justin, Barron, LeQuint Allen, OG, right up until training camp with some new faces coming in and some freshmen they're going to make their way into the lineup that we're going to get to know. We're finally here. We're ready to see some real football. But we had one more exercise to do before we react to real football. And by the way, Emily Leiker and I will be back for Syracuse football postgame presented by Krause Health after each Syracuse football game. We're looking forward to doing that postgame show with you guys throughout the season and getting the feedback from our Syracuse Sports Insiders all along. And that is what today's show is all about. For our final show before football season, I said, let's bring in the insiders, and not just in the usual way that our Syracuse Sports Insiders are a part of the show. We love highlighting your comments, but it was good to see and hear so many of our Syracuse Sports Insiders in getting this podcast ready, and you are going to see and hear them coming up here. We talked to 6 of our insiders, and I threw some over-unders at them. Now, the exercise here was they did not know what was coming, okay? I did not give them a heads up about what the over-unders would be. They reacted in real time off the cuff. So we're going to hear from 6 of our insiders, plenty of over-unders to kind of forecast what we think is going to happen in the upcoming 2024 Syracuse football season. To become a Syracuse Sports Insider, it's so easy. All you have to do is text the word orange to 315-847-3895. And becoming a Syracuse Sports Insider, as the guys you're going to see today know, gives you direct text message access to me. I send you highlights, opinions, information, any breaking news that I have. You'll get it first, and just general thought exercises as we go through the week, getting ready for Syracuse football. Syracuse basketball is approaching soon enough. All the latest news, notes, and tidbits that you need to know as a Syracuse Sports Insider, you will get it first, and you can text me your questions, your comments. We had people this week saying, hey, Brent, I can't use my tickets to the Syracuse-Ohio game. Throw it out to the insider family. See if they want to go. See what happens when you build a great community of Syracuse sports fans. Fun things like that happen. So we would love it if you would become a Syracuse Sports Insider today. It's free to try for 2 weeks, and it's just $3.99 a month. After that, less than $1 a week for all that. You might even get some free tickets out of the deal. You never know. So looking forward to hearing from our Syracuse Sports Insiders. And today we are once again going to feature my new favorite band, Paper Rabbit. Fantastic band from right here in Syracuse, New York. You do not have to be from Syracuse, New York to have your original music featured on this show. All the information on how you can get in touch with me is in the show notes. We would love to highlight your original music. Maybe somebody you know, family, friends, people that you know that have great original music. Send it to me, and we will highlight it here on Syracuse Sports. But I wanted to get one more shot in of Paper Rabbit and their fantastic new album, which you can check out on Spotify, on their YouTube page, and everywhere that you get music. And then let the over-unders begin. We've got our leadoff hitter. My man Mark is here, Syracuse Sports Insider, and I've got a few over-unders for Mark to start off this conversation with. But Mark is heavily involved with the famous Syracuse tailgate, and he was telling me that it's going to be jam-packed for opening day. So, Mark, welcome to another season. Welcome to Syracuse Sports, and tell me how the tailgate is coming together. Not only for this game on Saturday, but for the entire season.
Thanks, Brent. And, you know, I don't know if we've talked about it. I don't believe we have on the pod before. But the tailgate itself started probably about 20 years ago with a small group of guys. And it just grew exponentially to the point where I think we hit our record in the big Clemson game in 2019 when we fed 320 people.
Wow.
When the NIL stories started to circulate, and frankly, some of them were just outrageously just huge deals, 6-7 figure deals. A group of us on a small text chat started to joke around and say, you know what we ought to do is we ought to pay a player to use his name to rebrand our tailgate. And again, it started out kind of as a joke, but one guy said, you know what, I throw $100 into that. Somebody else piped up, and then we said, if we get $500, this is something that might have some legs. Well, we actually met, a lot of us, this sounds creepy, on an internet bulletin board, but it's the syracusefan.com bulletin board, and we published the initiative on that site. And long story short, we've been running this for a little over 2 years now. We raised over $40,000.
Wow.
We instituted a guest appearance program where we brought in players from obviously other teams than football that are with us at the tailgate. We pay them an appearance fee. And we've done deals with 28 different Syracuse University student athletes across 6 sports over the 2 years going into our 3rd year in the tailgate. So this week is an exciting one for us. The magnitude of the project grew such that it became a real administrative nightmare for one old guy with a bunch of homegrown spreadsheets. We've now partnered with Orange United, and we will formally launch that partnership on Saturday at the tailgate. They're taking over a lot of the administrative work for me. They are collecting all of the revenue. They are doing the transactions with the players, but I still get to do the fun stuff. This Saturday, hope the weather holds out, but we have closed it out at 200 people. It's an open tailgate, and anyone can go to syracusefan.com. There's always a thread. You can RSVP to join our tailgate, but we do close it out once it gets to the point where it's just too big to manage. We're closed for Saturday with 200 people coming in. Orange United will be there. Our guests this week come from men's soccer, and we've got Nick Kalukian and Gavin Wigg will be joining us this week. So going to be a great year, great season. Enrique's family's always there with us. And it's just taken everything to another level for us.
Yeah, so that's where Syracuse comes from.
Yes,
Enrique Cruz Jr., of course. And that is an incredible story and a way to give back. And, of course, if you can get in there, the food is fantastic from what I hear. So best of luck with everything, and love hearing what you guys are doing. I just love that organic story of, that's where that stuff comes from, right? Start a text thread. That's the way it should
work, Brent. That's the way it should work.
That's exactly right. And I love how you guys are doing that. I mean, look, you can get what you can get in the NIL world. Don't begrudge anybody out there, but I love how you guys came together to help out some Syracuse fans and some athletes as well. All right, Mark, the season is here. We've spent so much time in talking season, and we're ready to see some real football. But one more thing before we kick it off Saturday. I got 3 over-unders for you. You ready?
Let's do it.
Now, everybody should know, as we begin here, all of our participants, I have not told them what these are. They're getting it right now. I'm at the mound. I'm throwing the ball down the middle of the plate. Mark's got to take a few swings here without knowing what the pitches are. Okay? Here we go. First one for you, Mark. You're my leadoff hitter, so I'm going to throw you the one that's on everybody's mind.
Fastball right down the middle. Let's do it.
Right down the plate. Grab the bat and let's go, baby. Over under Syracuse football, 9.5 wins.
Well, Brent, we are honoring Coach Mack this year.
That's right.
Coach Mack would say at this point, we're 0-0. Can't be any better than that. Coach Fran takes it to another level. He just wants to win Thursday. But for you, I'm going to step forward. I'm going to risk the bad mojo. And unfortunately, I'm going to go a little bit under on that. Not much. And it might be the hook that got me. But I'm projecting 8 or 9 wins this year.
I think that's fair. I think that's where a lot of us are falling here. 10 would be the over if you took it there. And I feel like that everything goes right there. The team stays healthy. You pull a couple of upsets. It could happen, right? That's the beauty of sports.
Could.
But I just feel that there's just so much that can knock you off the path just a little bit there. And I think 9-3 would be something. If I could go into the future, come back today and say, guys, they're going 9-3. Who's going to take that? Like every hand goes up.
Absolutely.
So I think you're right in line there.
And if you look back at the last 2 years, hey, if QB1 doesn't go down, we may have won 8 games both of those 2 years. Of course, if that were the case, Coach Fran would probably still be at Georgia. And we'd say we've reached our ceiling. We can't go any higher.
That's right. The butterfly effect of all that would be interesting to see. Okay. Number 2 for you, Mark.
Yep.
Kyle McCord, total touchdowns. Over or under 25.5? Total touchdowns.
And that was for who, Brent?
Kyle McCord.
Okay. We're going to take the over on that one, and we feel pretty good about it.
Okay. So he had 24 at Ohio State last year. And remember, Kyle McCord has yet to record a rushing touchdown as
I was
a quarterback.
just going to mention that, and we heard on his radio show this week he's got his celebration dance all set.
Okay.
So I expect to see at least a handful of those as well.
Okay. I like that. Taking the over on that. And Fran Brown has said a number of times he wants to see, air quotes, Little League Kyle out there. OG. Over or under 1,000 yards received?
Oh, that's the easiest of the 3. He may have that by midseason.
There you go.
The guy is a walking cheat code.
Yes, he is.
We're going to see something that I don't think we've ever seen before, whether you call him a wide receiver, whether you call him a slot receiver, whether you call him a tight end. He will be the focal point of the offense. He could very well break the single season receiving records, and we'll be watching him playing on Sundays next year, no doubt in my mind.
Okay. I'm confident in that as well. He had 969 yards when he had a full season 2 years ago, which I believe was top 6 or 7 in Syracuse history single season.
I think so.
You got Zeed Haynes out there. You got Jackson Meeks out there. You got a few other targets that Kyle McCord could go to, but it just feels like that's his guy. That's number 1. I know it's practice, and I'm not trying to get over the moon here, but from what I've seen at practice on the 3rd episode of ACC All Access, like you can just see the connections. And as much as opposing defenses are going to know who number 19 is, the matchups there, he creates a matchup nightmare. You want to put a linebacker or even 2 on Oronde Gadsden, a healthy Oronde Gadsden, as we think it is. Good luck with that, is what I say. So Mark says the easiest on the board, over 1,000 yards receiving this season. Excellent.
Hey, Brett, that's 3. Can I throw one at you?
Yes, you can.
How about LeQuint Allen, over under 1,000 yards this year?
Definitely over. I don't think there's any question about that. As much as I am enamored with young Yassine Willis, and I think Will Nixon's going to get some carries, LeQuint got there last year when he had to carry the offense on his back at the end of the season, right? But one thing that struck me, Mark, is Fran is over and over again. He has a number in mind. He has told LeQuint, I need 1,500 yards from you. Jeff Nixon loves to run the football. Jeff Nixon is a running backs coach. And at the heart of it, he wants LeQuint to have the ball. So I would probably say between the two, and it's close. I think that's probably the easier bet than OG getting to 1,000 yards.
I wanted to throw you a softball there, Brett. So
I appreciate that.
I would expect his number of carries may actually go down, and I would expect them to go down this year. But I think we're going to see more breakaway runs from him. I think we're going to see improved downfield blocking. He's talked a couple of times about focusing on his breakaway speed. So I think we've got a lot of excitement coming.
Mark, thank you for joining us. Good luck with the tailgate this year. Look forward to seeing you guys down there, and I look forward to hearing from you on our Syracuse Sports Insider text line, my friend.
You bet, Brent. Go Orange.
Our second participant here on The Price is Right. Come on down. Ben K is with us here, Syracuse Sports Insider. Ben, how you doing, bud?
Good, Brent. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you, and I know you're excited. You're coming up to Syracuse for the weekend, going to go to the game and hit a couple other spots. And so as you're getting ready to watch this team take on Ohio and on the dawn of the season here, what are you most excited about?
I think just the new energy. I graduated from Syracuse in 2018, and even when I was there, I had the one really good year my senior year when we beat Clemson, which was really exciting. But otherwise, football was always so much on the back burner compared to basketball. And I think this year, for the first time, at least personally, I can't speak for everyone, I'm almost more excited for football. And I think that started with the hiring of Fran and just how he spoke about both the community of Syracuse and the team itself and the recruiting changes and everything. So I'm just super pumped to see the team and to be part of the crowd there and to see hopefully a win against Ohio on Saturday.
I think that's well said. I mean, basketball has this ingrained excitement, and I think there's some very exciting things about that team, to be honest, when we get closer. But football just feels bigger, and when everybody is at least invested and interested in football, it's a different energy, and I like that. I mean, I love covering the basketball team, but football is my favorite sport, and there's just nothing like it when the town's buzzing about football. So I'm with you there, my friend. Okay. I got 3 over-unders for you. You ready?
All right, let's do it. Yep.
All right. LeQuint Allen, over-under 10.5 touchdowns.
I mean, I think I'll take the over on that. 12 games. I think Fran's made it clear LeQuint's going to be the focus of the offense. He definitely wants to establish the run. I think my main concern is if he loses the goal line carries to someone like Yassine Willis. But given Willis is a freshman, I know you love him, Brent. But he's a freshman, so we'll see maybe early on, especially against some of the opponents where hopefully Syracuse wins by a bit. Allen can get multiple touchdowns. I'll take the over on that. I'll say
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think you make a good point. I actually have that coming up for somebody else. I'm going to ask about Willis.
Yeah.
If LeQuint's going to score, I think he's going to need some breakaway runs. Not that he can't, drive in from 2 or 3 yards out with that offensive line and what we think this offense can be. But I think the closer they get to the goal line, especially red zone in, you got OG, you got Villari, you have options, right? And I feel like LeQuint's going to have to really get some breakaway runs to score some touchdowns. He had 9 last year, and that was basically at the end of last year when he was carrying the offense on his back, right? So I like that, and I'm with you on that. I'm going to take the over as well. All right, we're going to go on the defensive side of the ball now. Fidel Diggs, over or under 5.5 sacks?
Jeez, I don't have sack numbers in my head quite as well. I'm going to take, unfortunately, the under. I think, and I'm not as knowledgeable as you, Brent, but I think the defensive line is probably something I'm a little more nervous about this year, just getting pressure on the quarterback consistently. I think especially seeing Georgia Tech's offensive line and how good that offensive line was made me worried about the other offensive lines we'll see in the ACC. I think generally in college football, you generally see less individual sack totals, though I might be a little bit wrong. So I'm going to take the under on that, but just slightly.
4 last year at Texas A&M. He'll be the feature guy this year. And I think where you make a good point, Ben, is he's going to get some double teams.
Yeah.
It could open up things for some other people on that defensive line. With the tank there and a couple other but you're right. That defensive line, I have some questions there. And you just brought it up. Nothing against Ohio, but Georgia Tech's going to answer a lot of questions about physicality. And Fran has emphasized that at camp. We've seen it at camp. There's some big boys on that defensive line. But right away, week 2, Georgia Tech, we're going to find out
big one
just how tough that Syracuse defensive line is. I think you make a good point there. Okay. Average attendance at the Dome. There are 7 home games. Over or under 40,000 people.
So I've been getting your text, Brent, every day as a Syracuse Sports Insider with the updates for Ohio. I know we're right at 40,000, just about, right now for the Ohio game. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say we beat Ohio. We start off hot enough. I think the first game being Labor Day weekend, State Fair weekend might be a little tough. We're going to see bigger opponents. I think we'll take the over on that. But right at the line. It's a good number.
It is right at the line, and the interesting thing about that, Ben, is I think you're right. I think if this team wins and builds some momentum, you got 4 home games in September, and people love to go apple picking and do their thing around here, but Georgia Tech's a big game. Stanford's a Friday night. You're going to get a good student population there, and you might lose some people with high school football and things of that nature. Holy Cross, that might dip you a little bit because it's just not an interesting game, but you go through the year. Virginia Tech in November, Miami late in the year. Those could be 2 big games, even with the students out of town for Miami. The interesting thing on that, Ben, is capacity at the Dome is now 42,784. So over 40,000 is pretty much near capacity for all the games. But I hope you're right, because I
hope I'm right too.
Because that means everybody's back and invested and in this thing and ready to rock and roll, right? So Let's hope you're right on that one. Ben, great job, man.
Thanks so much, Brent.
I hope all the overs hit. I appreciate you being a Syracuse Sports Insider and being a part of our conversation today. And we'll see you up here in the Qs.
Yep, sounds great. Thanks, Brent. Take care.
So now we've got Randy ready to rock here, and we are talking football, but he's got the vintage Syracuse Sherman Douglas jersey going there. I love it. You're a man of many excited sports here, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the opportunity. I figured you'd appreciate that. I was going through the closet this morning, and my fiance bought this for me about a year ago. So I was like,
well,
I'll throw
there you
this
go.
in today.
That's a fiance that knows the way to her man's heart right there. That's fantastic.
Correct.
So Randy, before I throw a few over-unders at you here, just tell me, man, we've been talking about this for months, and now we're ready to play real football here. What are you most excited about?
That's a tough one. This is like the most anticipation I think I've had. I was thinking about this since like McNabb's senior season.
Wow.
No kidding, right? Maybe the year after, because they were still projected to do pretty well, right? You still had some guys around. Kind of like you, I don't mean this to be a cop-out. Let's just take the field and get this going. We dissected this 50 ways from – I think I'm most excited to see what the offense can do. I think we have an idea what the defense can do. I know it's a different system, right, but kind of what the offense can do. So
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
And I'm so with you. I am so ready for football. I got to see real football. And
I mean, I get the dart thing and all that, but not minimizing that. But like you said, the last press conference, let's do this thing. Let's
go. I'm ready. I am so with you on that, my friend. Okay, here we go. Now, just a reminder for people, Randy and anybody participating in this, they were not briefed ahead of time. I am throwing these blind at these guys, and they're just reacting
100%.
on the fly here. Randy, Zeed Haynes, over or under 700 receiving yards?
I'm going to say over. I have hopes for the offense, and like somebody besides Gadsden needs some targets, dude. Right. So that's my thinking behind this. So that's
Zeed is tough to read because I think he's going to be a big play guy. He is on the depth chart. I think OG is that first target. I think Jackson Meeks might be too, but Zeed's going to get the ball, so he's going to need a few big plays. 700 yards, that's a guy that's getting the ball consistently. So if he gets in that flow and is getting the ball regularly from Kyle McCord, he could get there. But we don't have a lot to go on. Like some of these we've done, for example, OG had 969 yards when he was last healthy, and LeQuint Allen had 10 touchdowns last year. And like there's a baseline. With Zeed, we don't know because he's coming from Georgia. He's a young guy, and we're just kind of taking a shot in the dark here.
I'm being optimistic, more optimistic than I would typically be. I was looking through the schedule, right? I was like, I might be going a little bit on a limb here, but I guess that shows you my optimism level. These are more optimistic over-unders than you might get. Well, let's see. Let's see how we do. But so far, I'm being pretty optimistic with this.
We're going to go on the defensive side of the ball now, Randy. Marlowe Wax, over or under 100 tackles on the season?
Big Wax fan, so I'm going to say over.
I think you could be right, but I hope you're not. Here's what I mean by that. I think Marlowe has had to carry such a heavy load on defense in recent years that in this new system, there's only two linebackers in the 4-2-5. I just hope he gets a little more help as we go along here.
Fair point.
But where you could cash in here, he has been the leading tackler 2 years in a row. For him to be the leading tackler 3 years in a row, that's something that has not happened, I believe, in like 35 years in the history of Syracuse football. And Marlowe is somebody, Fran talked about how he wanted him to change his body, change his style of play. I'd love to see him in the pass rush a little bit. Not that he hasn't before, but if he gets it, great. If not, it shows that they're spreading the wealth a little bit on the defense. So
if the defense does well, great. It doesn't matter if he has 100 tackles. I'm sure he'd probably say the same thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the third one we're going to give Randy here? I'm going to flip it back on the offensive side of the ball. My guy, Yasin Willis.
Yeah.
Over or under 5.5 touchdowns?
This is tough. I'm sorry, Brent. My gut says under. No idea why. I've got nothing to base this on. I hope it's over. It's just a gut feel. I got nothing for you. Randy, prove it to me with some kind of data. It's a gut feel. I hope
sometimes those are the best ones, Randy.
Yeah.
You go with your gut. You don't know why, and you cash in on it. And I threw a couple unknowns at you.
Good.
Zed and Yassine. Look, LeQuint's going to be the primary ball carrier. Pardon me. I think we know that, right? He had 9 touchdowns last year. I threw somebody else an over-under of 10.5 on LeQuint. They went over on that. I think they could be right. But again, almost similar to what we said with Marlowe, if they're spreading the wealth a little bit more, that means Yassine feels like to me, remember, he's the backup. LeQuint's the primary guy. And if he goes over 5.5, that means they're giving him the ball a lot in the red zone. And I'm with you. Like, as much as I like this guy, they're going to slowly but surely work him in. If anything, if he gets over 5.5, it just shows you he became a primary goal line red zone threat and cash in on that opportunity, right?
Well, and Nixon's around too, right? So we don't know how that's going to factor in. And the great unknown is injuries, but I'm not going to go there for now. But I mean, that's the great unknown. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the gut is under. If he goes over, great. That's probably a good sign. That
shows you, the offense is doing well. And look, as much as we have focused on Kyle McCord, and for good reason, Jeff Nixon wants to run the football, and Fran Brown wants to run the football, and they might have the offensive line to run the football. So I'm with you on the under, as much as I've been building up my boy here. I just think of how the hierarchy goes in the running back room. But if he is over, that shows you how much that offense certainly kicked into gear.
The running back room is vastly improved. I think that's the bottom line, right? That we're even talking about potentially who could be the third guy. Having 4.5 touchdowns, I think, shows you where the running back rooms come, right? That's just something that just occurred to me.
That's been my big impression from camp. Every position is depth, unfortunately, except for the most important one, a quarterback. So, like you said, knock on wood, we'll hope everything goes the way it should in that department. But everywhere else, I see improved depth, and the running back room is certainly a part of that. Randy, good stuff, man. Appreciate you being a Syracuse Sports Insider. Appreciate you jumping in on this, and hope we have a great season here, and I hope to see you again soon, my friend.
Appreciate the opportunity. And if you're not an insider, join. It really has been worth it. See, free plug for you. Join.
I did not tell him to say that. I did not tell him to say that. Nope. There you go. I love it.
Thanks a lot.
And Ryan is up next here. He's got his Carmelo Anthony jersey on. He has got his shades rocking. He's ready. He's ready for the season. Ryan, what are you most excited about for this upcoming football adventure?
Question. Really excited to see Kyle McCord. Ohio State's my second team. I got a lot of family that went there, so I watched a lot of Kyle McCord last year. I think he's very underrated. Honestly, watching a lot of him last year, I think he was better than J.J. McCarthy all last year, especially in that Ohio State-Michigan game. He had that one bad interception in the first quarter, but other than that, I think he's really underrated. I don't know why Ohio State forced him out. Sorry about that. There's a little bit of noise right here. Sorry. I don't know why Ohio State pushed him out so much. Doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, has a high completion percentage. I'm excited to see him work with Zed Haynes specifically.
Okay, so we did not plan this. Nobody got a heads up on any of these over-unders. You said McCord, so I'm going to give you a McCord over-under.
All right.
I love this from a guy who watched them all last year, puts him firmly in the underrated category. You ready?
Sure. Yep.
Your first over-under, Kyle McCord, over or under 7.5 interceptions?
Ooh. So my first thought is, just from what I've read over the offseason, that they're going to be running a similar offense to what he ran at Ohio State, which would lead me to take the under. But this offensive line isn't nearly as good as the one he had at Ohio State. That's my biggest issue with the team, kind of like at the start of the year. I'm going to take the over, but if you said that at like 9.5, 10, I would take the under. I could see it probably being around somewhere like 8 or 9. So 7.5. I think that's fair.
He had 6 last year at Ohio State, as you said, with a better offensive line, just more passes, more active offense at Syracuse than what we saw last year with the injury situation at quarterback with Schrader and everybody going down. If he has 8 or 9, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just he was so efficient last year, as you saw, that if you bump up 1 or 2, not too bad, right? There you go.
If he keeps it under 10, that's a great year. In my mind.
Absolutely. Totally agree. All right.
B.
Number 2 for you, Ryan.
Sure.
Okay. Now, pay attention to this one.
Yep.
Rushing touchdowns by someone other than a running back.
Okay.
Okay. So we're talking Kyle McCord. We're talking trick plays.
Talking some Zeke Haynes. Would a jet sweep count as a
Jet sweep kind of things, right? So
counts?
rushing touchdowns other than from running back, I'm going to set it at over under 3.5.
I'll take the over on that. I could definitely see Zeke Haynes getting some jet sweeps, especially on the goal line, just to catch people off balance. I could see something with Oronde Gadsden just in the cards. I may be wrong on this, but I think they plan on using some sort of D lineman in the backfield on the goal line sets. Or am I wrong on that? If I'm wrong on that, then
I think you might be thinking of Diggs is going to line up a tight end a little bit.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. But I'll take the over on that. That's,
Okay,
that's a
and
tough one,
as
though.
you know, Kyle McCord 0 career rushing touchdowns. So
I can see a QB sneak. Just a good old tush shove.
yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
1 or
Throw
2.
it in there. Yeah.
Fran has said he wants to see Little League Kyle running around this year, so he takes the over on that one. Okay. Next one for you. Dan Villari.
Okay.
Over or under 25.5 catches?
Ooh. That's a tough one. If they're running something like Ohio State ran last year, I could see a couple of 2 tight end sets. But this could also hit if Oronde Gadsden gets hurt again, which God forbid he doesn't. I just want to knock on some wood right there really quick. But I'll take the over on that. I can see you getting about 2 per game. 2 per game over 10 games. That'll hit. Maybe 1.5 a game over 12 or 13.
There you go.
Take the over on that. Yeah.
I could see the mathing on that one, as the kids would say. He had 20 last year, but remember, he had to play quarterback. He had to run that offense. His targets plummeted for reasons beyond his control. You mentioned the 2 tight end set. And look, OG's going to draw some double teams. I still think he's going to find a lot of mismatches out there when you're putting linebackers up against him. But Villari's just going to streak open. And, I mean, you go through the progression. I think OG's target 1, Meeks, Haynes, but there's just going to be Villari open in that 7 to 9 yard range a lot. I think 25. He had 20 last year. 25's a gift. For entertainment purposes only. If you can find that out there, people, I'd bang the over on that one for sure.
And just one more point on Villari. That bowl game last year, I know, was a disaster. But you think South Florida had a whole month to prep for a Syracuse team running a tight end and quarterback? That was kind of bound to happen. In my opinion. not to take us back there. I don't think we need to go back to that. I think we can all just repress those memories. But yeah,
it was only 9-10 months ago that Syracuse owned the worst bowl loss in history for about 8 days until Florida State said to hold my beer on that.
Yeah. Thank you,
Ryan, great stuff, buddy. Thanks for being a Syracuse Sports Insider, first of all, and hope you have fun this season. Hope to see you up here in the Cuse, and thanks for coming out with us today, my friend.
Yeah, Insider's totally worth it. Appreciate all the content you put out there every day. Having trouble keeping up with it. There's so much out there. Everybody should get it. All right. I'll give up, Brent. Appreciate your time.
You gotta love it when the Dmer stops by. We go a ways back, the Dmer and I, to radio days, and now here on Syracuse Sports Insiders and the Syracuse Sports Podcast. It is good to see and hear from you. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How you doing? Thanks for having me on, Brent.
Absolutely. Thanks for being a part of this. And I just, before I get some over-unders your way, I've been asking a bunch of our insiders coming on here today, just what are you most excited about for this upcoming season?
The games, seriously, I'm kind of, I don't want to say that I'm tired of the talk. Oh, let's see who's going to be All-American, who's this, who's that. I'm really excited to see this team play. I know the anticipation is just so mouth-watering to me for the first time in a very long time.
I hear you. Once I read Emily's great profile of Fran Brown, I felt like, okay, I know everything I need to know other than football. Let's watch football. So we're all just like kids on December 23rd waiting for Christmas morning. Can it just get here, please? And I could actually see some results, and the anticipation's killing me. I'm with you there, Dmer, for sure. All right, here we go, buddy. I got 3 over-unders for you.
Yep.
First one. Non-offensive touchdowns. Okay. These are pick sixes. These are punt returns. These are weird quarterback drops the ball, defense recovers for a touchdown. Just non-offensive touchdowns. Over under on that 4.5.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say probably about 6, half, one every other game. So I'd take the over on that.
I think that's a smart choice. You get a couple pick sixes.
Yeah.
Trevor Pena returns a punt for a touchdown. Kickoff returns a little harder these days, even though college has not adopted that weird NFL kickoff rule yet. I'm sure they will at some point, but taking the over on that. And he gives me a 6. All right.
I'm hoping Wax get his. I know on when they had the Mob podcast, he would talk about like that's the one elusive thing left after his buddy got the touchdown against Purdue.
Caleb, yeah.
Yes. So that's all he has left.
Okay. Well, we'll be rooting on Marlowe to grab that for sure. All right. Here's your second one, Dahmer. Jackson Meeks, over or under 7.5 touchdowns received.
Wow. He is not starting. I know that he's I'm going to go under on that. I think there's so many weapons that Syracuse offense has, and I know we haven't seen it all together, but I think that the ball's going to be spread so much to different receivers, even like Gill, and even when the kid from Colorado comes back.
Justice Ross Simmons,
Ross Simmons, and he's healthy. I just think that, there's only so many offensive possessions that you can have. So I'm going to go under on that. I am.
Third one for you on defense. Justin Barron.
Yep.
Over or under 85.5 tackles?
Oh, I'm going to go. He's like a third linebacker from what that star role seems to be explained by some of the staff. So I'm going to go over. What was it on the last All Access where one of the coaches was like calling him a hybrid of Urlacher?
Yes.
Else, and so all right. So when I first heard about what the star position is in this hybrid position between the safety and the linebacker position, I was thinking Polamalu, like Troy Polamalu of the Steelers, like he's going to be our Polamalu, like up on the line, go back and forth, and just be able to play and instinctually just be able to get his nose on the ball, and kind of like it may be the one position of the team that doesn't have rules, just go find the ball and hit the person. So I'm thinking over 85 for him, definitely.
Very well said there, Dahmer.
Yeah.
And I messed with you a little bit because he had 90 last year.
Yeah.
So I knocked it down to 85. He's the second leading tackler. Marlowe Wax has been in back-to-back seasons their leading tackler. He's had over 100 tackles. And what you said about the offense is kind of what I'm wondering about the defense. Do they spread the wealth a little bit more? What does this 4-2-5 do in terms of distribution? You got a lot of guys in the secondary, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Justin is in this hybrid in-between role where he's just going to be around the ball a lot. And 85.5, like if you can find that out there somewhere for real, I think I would hop on that for put some real dough on that one.
Oh yeah. I don't gamble. I like to play the fake gambling game to see how smart you are sometimes. But just like even when they're talking about like the Heisman with McCord, like plus 20,000. Like if I gambled, I put $1 on that just from a value perspective. So, but yeah, I appreciate it, Brent.
Dahmer, good stuff. Good to see you. Good to hear from you as always, my friend. Happy football to you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
And last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, from Charlotte, North Carolina, but his heart resides right here in Syracuse, New York, we've got Steve with us here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Brent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you being a Syracuse Sports Insider and appreciate you willing to jump into this exercise here.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and Steve does not know what's coming, so we'll see what your answers will be. It's been fun to see the reaction from everybody because, just to reiterate, nobody knows what's coming their way. I'm throwing these
Right.
blind at them here. But speaking of not knowing what's coming, we spent this whole off season just wondering what Syracuse football is going to be. So here on the dawn of a new season, Steve, what are you fired up about?
Interior line play. The hog mollies up front, knowing that we're bigger on the offensive and defensive lines, knowing that there's an elevated skill set, seeing contributors for the last couple seasons in Josh Aloa and Enrique Cruz. I don't want to say relegated to second team, but that's their place in this pecking order with this version of Syracuse football. And I think that's telling in and of itself. The revamping of the defensive line now, obviously with both lines, you have to have a continuity. You've got to have, guys playing off of one another, the general in the middle, calling the protections, things of that nature on the offensive side. And I think that there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but for me, that's the most exciting part, bringing in Washington, the big spoon, not to mention the guys on the defensive end, Tank and Fidel, and along with, countless others. It's just talk about a sticking point for the entirety of Bader's tenure was line play. I mean, it's something I look to every single year, not just with Syracuse, but in all football, NFL, college. How your line plays will dictate how your season goes. Hard stop. It's that simple. If you're not big and strong up front, you will get pushed around. You will lose that battle at the line. So now you're playing from behind the sticks on offense, or the offense is playing ahead of the sticks against you on defense.
That's well said. I believe it was Fran that noted a few times, big people push little people around, but I couldn't help but several times walk out of practice and turn to Emily and Chris and be like, they just look bigger. They look like a football team. And I could not say that in the last 8 years and couldn't say that all the time, even prior to that. So we'll see if that pays off. Something you just said reminded me of the other night. So I was talking to Big General, Jean-Ray Reed, the center, and I said, when you look over here and you got Big Spoon, and you look over here and you've got Savion Washington, what does that add to the offensive line? And General's like, no. You got Big General in the middle. That's what you got. I was like, that's what I want, a center that's got that kind of confidence and is ready to run some people over. But it helps to have 6'7", 350 and 6'8", 340 to your left and right. Just a little bit, right?
Does not hurt at all. It won't keep you up at night the way we've been having those sleepless nights the last few seasons.
For sure. All right, Steve. So if the offensive line protects Kyle McCord and Kyle McCord throws the ball to OG, here's your first over-under. You ready?
Hit me.
Oronde Gadsden, over or under 12.5 touchdowns?
I'm going to say under. He's going to come out. He's going to be, obviously the target coming out right off the bat. I think as the season progresses, I think you'll see Oronde get a couple touchdowns in week 1 or week 3 or week 4, and he'll have like 6 or 7, let's say by mid-season. I think you're going to see that taper off because I think defenses are going to start game planning for Oronde. And I think with the skill set guys that Syracuse has brought in with, Haynes, and we've got Trevor Pena coming back. Mari Hatcher's had a great camp. I think you're going to see more of a distribution. I feel as though, and I don't mean to speak about the past, but I think Oronde was locked on multiple times by Schrader, over the course of however many games in the last couple seasons. And I don't think Oronde had the supporting cast around him that could, where he could, I don't want to say take a play off, but you can miss him, but you still got other guys to go to. So I think I'm going to say under. He'll probably be around 10, 11. I think he'll come out of the gates hot, but I think it'll taper as the season goes on.
I think if he's under, and I agree with you, if I was on the other side of this, I would take the under myself. And the good part about that is that means Meeks is getting a little, and Haynes is getting a little, and Valari's getting a little. And I think what you said makes sense. While OG is going to find some mismatches, as the season goes along, you start playing better teams, especially those ACC teams. And I know he didn't play last year, but you got enough coaches in this league that at the very least have game plan for him before and can go back to that. Maybe you start to see the touchdown production drop off, but he could knock right on that door as well. That's a tough one right there. Okay, here's your second one. We're going to flip to the other side of the ball. Deuce Chestnut is back. He's now at safety. And Deuce just has a nose for the football, no matter where you put him. So I'm going to put Deuce Chestnut over or under 3.5 interceptions.
Over.
Over.
He's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk. I think coming back, and again, outsider looking in, he looks rejuvenated. I think the time he spent at LSU was, I don't want to say humbling, but it probably opened his eyes a little bit to like the bigger picture. And I thought it was telling that he felt comfortable enough, along with the team and the coaching staff feeling comfortable to bring him back. This is home for Deuce, Syracuse, I think, anyway. The way he played the couple seasons he was at Syracuse, I think with the coaching of Fran, I think, again, you talk about complementary players around him. I think he's going to be able to, like you say, free safety, free. He's going to be wheeling and dealing in that secondary. And I would say he's going to get 4 or 5.
I agree with you. I think he flourishes in that role. He just knows how to find the football. He has that connection with Fran. I think Fran took a look at Deuce right away and says, no, this is where you need to be. You've got a secondary coach as the head coach. You spent a lot of time in that room during camp. And yeah, that's one of the easiest, I think, overs in this whole exercise so far through the show.
I was only worried about the number. If it was 4.5 or 5.5, I would have had to hedge, but 3.5, let's go over.
All right, your final over-under. Penalties. Over or under 95.5 for the season?
Say under. I'll say under by a lot. I can't imagine a Fran Brown, Elijah Robinson coached, Jeff Nixon coached team averaging 8 penalties a game. I just can't. I don't see that. It's based on, obviously, very limited information, but what you see at practice, what you hear them talking about as a unit, as a team, I just think, DART, right? Accountability. I think that is, paramount. And if this team averages 7-8 penalties a game, I don't think they win 6 or 7 games. Again, you talk about the schedule, it's favorable and all that, but everything's got to go your way. You got to control what you control. We've heard that forever. I think penalties are something, gosh, those false starts, the simple mistakes of like clock management, delay of games, things of that nature. It would really open my eyes to see that continue. I just don't see that trend continuing as it has the last few seasons.
I'm with you, especially with DART and especially with the experienced players you have coming back. My one thing is you can't force, how can I put this? You can't force time. And that offensive line, while there's some great additions to it that we mentioned, they're not in sync. Everybody's got to kind of figure out the best way to do it. I think Dale Williams has taken that approach as best as he can in this offseason to get everybody in sync. But I wish I had the stat on me, but there was a stat that I read of this offseason about, with all the transfers in college football everywhere, how hard it is to get these offensive lines in sync. So you do see a little uptick in jumping off sides and things of that nature. But Steve, my answer to this is it better be under, because 2 years ago, Syracuse led the country in penalties, and that 95 number is the number of penalties they had last year, which I believe only 9 other programs had more in the country. So by golly, it better be under, and that's not a shot at anybody. That's just,
no.
Boy, Fran really has an opportunity here to make at this team. I know DART, the D does not stand for discipline, but he's got a shot to really improve upon that.
Yeah, and it seems like everybody, regarding DART, I don't want to say it's been surprising, but it's been refreshing to see the individual players speak to that without prompting, like how they just bring it up naturally in conversation. I think listening to Coach Brown say, I want to build a program, not just this year's team. That mentality is paramount to building long-term sustainable success. So I think the accountability part of DART, I do. I don't foresee this team averaging 7-8 penalties a game. I think you're gonna see mistakes, you're gonna see holds, you're gonna see false starts. It happens. This is sports. You're going to make mistakes as you're trying your best to win, to compete, to win every week. 7 or 8 penalties a game, I would be flabbergasted if that happened again. I think that would be a, throw the papers up in the air, like, what are we doing here type of reaction.
Steve, great stuff. Great insight. Thanks for being a Syracuse Sports Insider and being a part of our community here. And happy football to you, my friend. Let's get this thing going.
Yes, sir. Thanks for everything, Brent. Appreciate everything you and Emily and Chris and the whole gang do. Thanks for all the access, and thanks for doing this. Thank you for including us, because Syracuse is so unique as a football program in that where it's located. It's a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours from the biggest city in the country. And it's a couple hours from the end of the local NFL team. Syracuse has this little spot right in the center of the state. And I think it's a sleeping giant. And I think Coach Fran Brown coming in acknowledging that the Northeast is where we have to focus, specifically New Jersey, but keep everybody in our backyard home. I think the entire region is ready for Syracuse football to be a player again, much like they were from 87 to 2001 when they were the 15th best team in the country by record. I think Fran Brown, mentioning Coach De Leon and other, the past Syracuse teams and what the standard is. I think, things got to break right. You got to avoid injuries. The depth is still going to be a concern, but I do believe this is the beginning of hopefully some sustained success over the next few years. And again, thank you to you for this opportunity and everything you guys do.
All well said, and our pleasure, my friend. Now, how great was that? Our Syracuse Sports Insiders come to life. Usually you just kind of see their text messages on the screen, but it was good to see and hear from so many of our Syracuse Sports Insiders today. Thanks to all those guys for hopping on with us today. We thank all of our Syracuse Sports Insiders for being a part of the community. I want to thank everybody that listened to the show, watched the show, and make sure you subscribe, okay, on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Syracuse Sports with Brent Axe. Never miss an episode of Syracuse Sports. If you're subscribed and following, Emily and I will be back throughout the season after every Syracuse football game with Syracuse Football Postgame presented by Krause Health. Looking forward to doing that. We're here. Let's go. I am so ready for some football, and I know you guys are as well. Thanks for checking out the show today. Thanks again to Paper Rabbit for their great new album and for letting us feature their music on the past couple of podcasts. Do you have original music? Are you in a band? Are you an artist? Do you know somebody whose music we should feature on this show? All the information's in the show notes, how you can get in touch with me, and we would love to feature your original music here on Syracuse Sports going forward. Happy football, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.